speaker. I have a lot to say. Unfortunately, Gordon couldn't make it, and I understand that. So I'll talk real quick about the 4th District. The 4th District is probably the most diverse district in the city. You have Lincoln Park, Piedmont Heights, and Duluth Heights. And each of those neighborhoods are very unique. And I decided to run because I felt we didn't have a city councilor who was listening to the people. And I'm very proud of my showing in the primary. And this is what I will work for, because I have to talk really fast like Paul Wellstone and get it all in. Streets is number 1 throughout my district. Doesn't matter where you are, fix the streets, fix the streets, fix the streets. I understand that. That's what we're going to work to, and no matter who gets on this council, that's going to be a priority. Number 2 in my district is public safety. In Lincoln Park, we've had 5 or 6 arsons this summer of vacant buildings. And one of these days, someone's going to die, whether it's a firefighter or a homeless person or somebody playing in that abandoned structure and somebody torches it. So I am dedicated to making sure the fire department has everything they need, and the police department, that they have everything they need for public safety. Number 3 is kids and youth, and Patrick talked a little bit about that. When you invest in recreation, you save $5 to $7 in juvenile crime. That's huge, you know, and private community efforts will not be able to sustain the type of recreation that we want in this city. So I am a big fan of bringing that back. And the other thing I want to talk about a little bit is, because we've talked a little bit about economic development, and we've heard about business, but we need to be responsible. This city doesn't have an economic plan. We need to have a long-range plan, and I have made this statement, and I'll make it again tonight. I am not going to vote for taxing incremental financing or business incentives unless they come to me and tell me how many full-time jobs they're going to have, that they have a living wage, and they have benefits, because too often we have not gotten the bang for our buck, and we really need to do that. The people of this city are worth holding the line on that. So I'm told to STOP. Thank you.
A couple of years ago, our police department had been severely cut back through cutbacks and through hiring freezes, and they were doing the right thing in terms of allocating their resources. They were putting it all into 911 response. So there were patrol cops on the streets. If you called 911, someone would be there to help you. What they did do in order to save, because they didn't have enough police officers, was they pulled officers out of community policing, which is our preventative policing. They pulled officers out of investigations. And so what that meant is that we had victims of violent crime who were waiting 6 to 7 months, many times, to get an investigative interview. What does this mean for our community? It means that we have offenders, some of them sexual offenders, in our community that are not being held accountable. We have victims who are walking through our community that don't even have a sense or possibility of justice. This is not good enough for Duluth. So I pulled together a community group of people made up of advocates and other interested parties, and we started approaching city councilors, we started approaching city administration about, is this kind of good enough for you? Is this the best we can do in Duluth? And started looking at, what are some solutions? What are some ways we can fix this? I'm proud to say, with limited time that I have to tell this story, that there was a solution that came forward through the City Council administration. The police department was authorized more positions, and because we were working hand in hand with the police department, they designated those positions to go into investigations so that now, when someone reports a violent crime, they are not waiting 6 to 7 months anymore. And I tell you this story because that is what I think we need on the city councils. I think we need people that are willing to work with others to find solutions to the problems that we face, and willing to do it with very little money, which is what I'm pretty much used to. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me tonight. I have a family here. Family actually here. I have 4 kids. I mentioned my dad lives up on Wyoming Street. My friends are still in Duluth. My coworkers and things like that. One of the reasons I chose to seek a third term was come January of 2010, which is just a few months away, the mayor, the executive director of DETA, our 5 top administrators, and at least 8 city councilors will have 2 years or less experience on the job. And I think institutional knowledge is fairly critical, especially in these more difficult times that our city is going through. I also have some unfinished business. As you probably know, I typically vote against bonding. That is, the city continues to borrow. We're $155 million in debt from borrowing money for past projects. We are $300 million in debt on retiree health care. I vote against bonding. I vote against tax increases. I think we need to be more efficient in city government. I think we need to look at where we, for instance, the overtime issue that I've harped on for 5 years and finally having some success. I think these new fees, the streetlight fees, things like that, I've voted against. I just don't think this is the right time for this city and you taxpayers to continue to pay for so many of these things. Lastly, my unfinished business includes neighborhoods. You know I've been very active in neighborhoods, especially around the campus, but further out in neighborhoods, everything from parking to snow removal to law enforcement. And last, a project I started almost 2 years ago is the development or redevelopment of Bayfront. And I have a passion for that. I've been working with the DNR and with some developers, and I'd like to see that move forward. Thank you.